How's it going, guys? Today, I'm going to be featuring the Ohio, the new legendary tier American battleship that you can purchase in the shop for 15,000 winter coins. It is not free. You will have to spend some money to get the additional winter coins needed to purchase, although you can get most of it from the campaign calendar and free bundles in the store. And I do definitely think this is a ship worth picking up, although who knows, maybe they will end up nerfing it in the future because this thing is absolutely cracked. Yesterday I posted a 289,000 game with the Ohio. I was using a secondary build, but this time I am actually using Azurline, New Jersey, which is another build that is absolutely cracked. You don't have the heals or the absolutely monster secondaries that you do if you were to use, say, Willis Lee. In my case, I use Optimus Prime. But these guns just absolutely hit ridiculously hard, especially with Azurline, New Jersey's combination of drill bits, her Don't You Just Love It, and her base trait, which gives another 5% damage to ships beyond 10 kilometers. So I do try to make most of all of her skills in this match, and you can kind of see how nasty this accuracy is. Just some things about the Ohio that's not necessarily conveyed in the game and things you can't really look up. Ohio in Legends has a 2.0 Sigma, or in our game's terms, grouping, and it also has Warspite Dispersion. Now, I'm not entirely sure where that falls within all of the dispersion ellipses. I do know American Dispersion is generally the best, and there's a couple of outliers like Champaign and also Georgia that have sort of improved dispersion, so I'm not quite sure where Warspite fits. I would assume somewhere between American and British, but I could be wrong, not entirely sure, but that is what I was told by Prince Blip about how this ship's accuracy is. And the thing is, with Azurline, New Jersey, I also use Cunningham and Angelo Iachino to get more grouping. So basically, standard, we have a 2.2 Sigma, and then we pop our spotter plane, and then that just gets boosted up to like a 2.44. It's kind of ridiculous. Thinking about a 2.44 Sigma, that's kind of where our Stalingrad is at. And you can kind of see, and you will see throughout the video, every time we use our spotter plane, we basically just have laser beams. Now, aside from this ship's accuracy, we do have access to a quick cooldown heal, basically the same one that we have on the Georgia and Gascan. And also, I should mention the secondaries have a 7-kilometer base range with a 3.7 second reload, so significantly better than Massachusetts, and I do think, like I said on stream, it's an end of an era. I think Ohio is pretty much my favorite American battleship at this point. Sorry, Massachusetts, but Ohio is here. Now, I keep talking about the Ohio's main gun accuracy and also its secondaries and ability to push in and sustain, so you might be wondering which build would ultimately be better, and honestly, there is no clear answer. This ship is really adaptable, and it pretty much will come down to the player and how well they can actually, utilize their build to maximize their efficiency. For example, when you use a secondary build, you are giving up a lot of those accuracy skills, but you do have a base Sigma of 2.0, which is honestly really good for any battleship, and also Warspite Dispersion for whatever that's worth. So there are going to be games where it's actually really difficult to find an opportunity to push in and kind of brawl, let your secondary shoot. But because you do have that accuracy, you can still technically snipe in it. It is also the reason I've switched from Haruna as a secondary inspiration to Enrique Fernandez. Get a little bit of range, and also range for your main battery. It's a little more useful in more matches than Haruna because there are still going to be quite a few games where you're not actually able to push in until the very end, or maybe not at all. So then having that little range, you can get your range out to 18 kilometers if you use the Epic Battle Booster, and that's generally where a lot of the legendary cruisers sit, with Beyond Range and Kedrov as an inspiration. Sorry, not Kedrov, Kuznetsov. And it's kind of important to have some of that range because there have been a lot of situations where you're just simply getting farmed by, say, Colbert or Worcester, but you just can't reach with your main battery. And, well, at least being able to retaliate or force them away is kind of important for your survivability. On the other hand, because games are really passive at legendary tier and also trying to push in and brawl does take a lot more patience and a bit more skill to find those openings to actually get into those secondary ranges and, well, pushing in without just throwing your ship away. Using an accuracy build is probably the safest bet for most players, but if you kind of want to have fun and you think you can figure out how to push in and brawl with this thing, well, having a secondary build as the video yesterday is definitely not going to be an issue. Another question that you might ask, well, if you're able to play the ship really well with every type of build and do everything, will this thing get nerfed? My initial impressions is it probably will. Unless they decide to buff the other legendary battleships like the Yamato and GK. Still waiting for them to get a proper damage con because for whatever reason it's still 8 seconds, and they also have 2 repair parties when everything else that is relative has 3, Schlieffen, Montana, Conk has 2 super heals, and well, when it comes to GK, Schlieffen just power crept GK really badly. And Yamato, I mean, even though it can still do really well with its 18.1 inch guns, it just simply is falling behind the newer battleships, Colombo, now Ohio, and I really don't think it was ever better than Conk, so yeah, hopefully they do decide to buff the others rather than nerf this, but if anything, and when they do decide to nerf it, it probably will come in the form of reload, because we do have a 27.5 second reload. They'll probably push that out to, I want to say 30 seconds. I think beyond 30 seconds might be a little too much, and we can only hope that they don't touch the secondaries or main gun accuracy. I mean, granted, they did nerf Candace's reload, and they didn't touch the accuracy, so hopefully this falls somewhere into that same category, although stuff like Schlieffen and the Italian battleships did have their secondaries nerfed. But I do think since most players probably will snipe, I think their spreadsheets won't actually have a whole lot of secondary stats recorded, so hopefully that it doesn't happen, otherwise it'll be a pretty sad day. Although I am sure they will be wary of nerfing the Ohio, because right now the only way to actually obtain it is with the winter coins. And the thing about the winter coins, even though a lot of them were free or, you know, part of the campaign, the rest of it you had to buy the Santa crates to pretty much get the rest. So I don't know how they would deal with it. I'm sure they would get a lot of backlash because I'm sure people, I mean, we're already seeing a lot of Ohios out there, so people have definitely wailed. So if people, or if Wargaming was to nerf the Ohio, everyone who spent hundreds of dollars to get it on day one would be pretty upset. I mean, I would be if that happened. So who knows what they can and or are willing to do. I, for one, though, would definitely rather see the other legendary battleships get buffed instead of this thing getting nerfed. I think the legendary ships can probably go back to how they existed before they were nerfed, back when they were only facing tier 7. Now that they added tier 8, the gap is much smaller, and I think how the ships were when they were released, like the Yamato having, you know, proper accuracy, you know, would be fine these days. But I definitely do think having a longer duration damage con, at least 10 seconds like a lot of the other Japanese battleships, or even having a third heal would actually be warranted at this point. Also, the HP pools being reduced because they face tier 7 should honestly just go back to what they are on PC. Just to put things into perspective, Montana here has 86,000 hit points, where on PC it actually has 96,300, same as Ohio, and Ohio here has, you know, that 96,300. Yamato is at 90,000, PC is at 97, GK here's 95, PC 105,800 hit points. Also, longer duration sonar and longer range secondaries. So, I feel like if those ships were to get these buffs that I just mentioned, I feel like the gap between what Ohio can do now and what the other battleships would do in the future if they did get the buffs wouldn't be nearly as large. And then honestly, Ohio wouldn't stick out like a sore thumb. But as of right now, Ohio, Colombo, and Conch are just simply the best battleships at Legendary tier. As much as I would like to say Yamato is good, which it is, it just doesn't hold a candle to any of the ships that I just mentioned. I mean, even Schlieffen is pretty nasty at this point, even though it got nerfed. So, a lot of other ships just simply need to be buffed to make the gap between the newer Legendary tier battleships and the old ones a little less. So, fingers crossed things go the way that I want them to. Obviously, I have zero control over what Wargaming does, but hopefully there's enough feedback to buff the old ships instead of nerfing Ohio, that they do that instead. But yeah, we're pretty much coming to the end of this match here. We're at 243,000 damage, well, 258 now. Having maxed plotting room, legendary plotting room, both the dispersion and damage. And well, you just saw our front gun shoot at the Des Moines with 2 penetrations. We did 14.2k. AO New Jersey is definitely a very nasty commander to have on your Ohio. You can even throw in Arthas as an inspiration, and when you use your fighter, you get that 20% damage boost, which would be even more disgusting. But in this game, I just simply went for accuracy, and honestly, I am not disappointed. I won't lie, in this game, I was trying to go for the 300k milestone, and I do think there was an opportunity when the Conch and Iwami pushed into B. If I had been a little more aggressive at that point, and not, you know, kind of been passive because of the Hayate, we probably could have gotten a nasty crossfire and probably broken that 300k, because I think that's where all the damage was. Unfortunately, we don't do that, but we do get our first Kraken and 3,800 XP. So now we do have those as our max battle results, which were a couple of the stats that I was chasing. So now we just have to try and get the 300k damage, and then, well, Ohio will join some pretty good company at Legendary tier. Now, I did mention my build earlier, but I am using Azurlane, New Jersey with Iachino and Cunningham as inspirations, pretty much just going full Sigma build, especially with Ohio's Sigma being so high. The Sigma is just ridiculous, especially with the spotter plane. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Do leave a like and subscribe, and check out our streams on Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays, and sometimes Fridays. But till next time, aloha.